Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and on today's show, the Texans made a surprising roster move. I'll break it down. Also, some injury updates from practice today. It was just a light workout, but who worked out, who didn't for the Texans as they are getting ready to head to Detroit for that joint practice. Also, crazy Bleacher Report article on could the Texans cut this defensive lineman. You might know who it is based on that picture. I'll break that down on today's show. And then to end today's show, a fun topic. Who's the best Texan? If you've been following the NFL Top 100 list, I have a little fun game at the end of today's show. Before we get going, speaking of that joint practice tomorrow, we also have a little battle here at Chat Sports. Our Chat Sports Lions channel named Lions Talk with my guy Micro Mike. We have a sub battle with them this week. And we've gained some ground. We're only, 8 subscribers behind. So if you're brand new to the channel, if you want to help us out and get free Texans videos all year long, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button, 100% free. And a reminder, we will be live on Saturday, an hour before kickoff, 11 a.m. Central Time for this last preseason matchup. A lot of guys playing for their roster spots, so it should be a fun event. And let me know. Are you going to be joining us this Saturday for our watch party? Give me a yes, give me a no. Going to have some fun deals, some fun giveaways and stuff. So if you want to get in, if you want to hang out with me this Saturday, do so here on the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get into the roster moves for today. The Texans went ahead and waived Tre McKitty, who they signed just about a week ago, a 2021 third-round pick from the Chargers. They added this tight end, obviously, right after the injury to Brevin Jordan. But with the recent events that the Texans had, obviously making a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, getting Harrison Bryant, sending away John Mechie, the need for an extra tight end decreased. So seeing that he probably wasn't going to make the roster or the practice squad, the Texans went ahead and they waived Tre McKitty. Now, that's not the surprising move because obviously, like I said, there's rationale behind that. There's reasoning behind that. The surprising move to me was the Texans signed a long snapper in Blake Ferguson. Last year, played with the Miami Dolphins. I talked to our Dolphins host, not that he's a long snapping analyst or anything, but he said, Blake Ferguson did only play a handful of games last year, and he left the team for personal reasons. So big question mark there with Blake Ferguson. I don't know whether or not he's better than Austin Brinkman or what we have right now, but my question is, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but why do we need two long snappers on the roster right now? Is Brinkman hurt or is he playing bad? I saw multiple reports that he wasn't at practice today, along with maybe a couple other people. Maybe it was, somewhat of a rest day for some, but all this has made me really think, dang, I really wish the Texans still had John Weeks. He has been the Texans long snapper since, I believe, 2009. I mean, he was Mr. Reliability for this Texans team, and now they have me up early on a Tuesday morning talking about the long snapping position. Not what I want to be talking about to start today's video. Let's go on to another subject of some more injury news. Blake Fisher, he sustained a sprained ankle up against the Carolina Panthers, was not practicing today. Don't think this will affect, whether or not he makes the team, whether or not he starts the year, on the injured list whatsoever. I think they're just going to be cautious with it. I think at this point, they're okay with Blake Fisher being a swing tackle, a backup for this team. Other guys not practicing. Obviously, C.J. Gardner-Johnson still kind of rehabbing from that injury, trying to make it back week one. I don't know if he actually will. Jalen Reed, kind of the same thing, the rookie out of Penn State. Don't know his status for week one yet, but the report was 3 weeks of rehab to get back from that injury, which would land him around that week one date. And then Trent Brown, who maybe one of the biggest question marks at Texans camp, was cleared by doctors to, start physical activity, start practicing. I believe he'll be a stash away or maybe, start the year on the injured list as well. These guys were fully activated, though. Christian Harris, linebacker, Dameon Pierce, running back, and Cam Robinson, offensive tackle. They were full on in drills and everything that the Texans were doing today. Obviously, like I said, a light workout, not a padded practice, but still good to see these guys out there and practicing. I wonder if we'll see those three guys this Saturday up against the Detroit Lions. I'd like to see Christian Harris and Dameon Pierce, at least to see them in some game action before we get going for the regular season. Now, coming up, could the Texans cut Denico Autry? Bleacher Report thinks so. They named him as the #1 guy to look out for as roster cutdown day approaches. I'll get into what they had to say and my thoughts on the Texans and Denico Autry. Before we get into that, though, today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Get started today with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. I absolutely love Prize Picks. It makes watching sports just 10 times more fun. It's amazing whenever you put in a Prize Picks lineup how much more fun watching football can be. And preseason football is underway. College football, I can taste it. I can absolutely taste it. Get started with the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there where you can turn your football knowledge into some cold hard cash. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And I didn't make a lineup for today. I'm still waiting to see what I want to do, but I did want to tell y'all about an amazing deal that Prize Picks has right now if you're looking forward to week 1. Dak Prescott, a Dak Max, the max discount. All he has to do is he has to throw 1 yard. 1 yard. So if you want to make week 1 that much more exciting, well, why don't you put Dak Prescott 0.5 passing yards in your lineup? It'll be a ton of fun. You can add Texans players. You can, add whatever you want into your lineup from whatever sport, not just football. You can do baseball. You can do basketball once that comes around. And they are hockey as well. I know hockey, MMA, all of that available with our friends over at Prize Picks. And Prize Picks, they put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Prize Picks, they also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So you can, say, have a lineup of 4 different projections, and if you do a flex play instead of a power play, if one of your projections doesn't work out, you can still win some money. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Get started today with our friends over at Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, now let's look at, could the Texans end up cutting Denico Autry? Because, like I said, Bleacher Report, very interesting article to say the least. This is what they had to say on Denico Autry. One reason why good players get released in late August is the NFL salary cap parameters. During the offseason, only the top 51 contracts count against the salary cap. Once rosters flip to the active 53 player limits, all count. This is why the Houston Texans, who currently have $11.5 million in cap space, need to cut $26.6 million in salary by cutdown day. This is also why veteran defensive end Denico Autry could be cut even after restructuring Autry's contract in March. Houston still stands to save $5.1 million by releasing the 35-year-old veteran. Houston may decide that Autry's salary is too rich for a complementary pass rusher. While Autry had just 3 sacks in 2024 and was sidelined with a knee injury to open camp. Also, he dealt with that suspension last year. He could draw interest if he's released. So I'm going to ask you straight up, what will the Texans do with Denico Autry? If you had to predict it, he's been injured all off season. I don't even know if the Texans would try to trade for him, if he would pass a physical at this point. It's a big question mark around Denico Autry's injury, but let me know. Predict it. What do you think is going to happen with Autry? Are they going to cut him? Are they going to keep him? Or do you think they'll trade him? Let me know down below. I think they'll end up keeping him, and I think he's a guy who you could easily see the Texans put on, short-term IR to start the season, put him on that, PUP list, make sure he's an injury stash away, kind of like they did last year in, not that they did it on purpose, but, he was suspended for, 6 or 8 games last year, and then he was able to come in and help down the stretch a little bit for this Houston Texans squad. And as I look at the Texans depth chart, as I look at their defensive line, I see where Bleacher Report's coming a little bit with this, because at the end of the day, do the Texans need Denico Autry? I don't think so. I really don't think so, because You have Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter. Obviously, those are your starters. You have a good interior with Mario Edwards Jr. You brought back Sheldon Rankins this year after his one-year stint with Cincinnati. Tim Settle Jr. was having a really good year last year. Foley Foticasi as well. And you have good depth behind the defensive end spot. Darrell Taylor has looked really good in camp. Derek Barnett has looked really good since coming back to camp as well. Same with, a couple other guys on this Texans defensive line depth chart. So the question is, what will the Texans do with Denico Autry? Like I said, I could see them pushing that, problem down the road, kicking the can down the road and saying, oh, we'll put him on the injured list to start the year, and then we'll figure out what we want to do when he comes back, or if we want to go ahead and move on from Autry. So, big question mark there. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll keep you up to date with everything that happens with Denico Autry over the next couple of weeks. Reminder, roster cutdown day next Tuesday. All right, last up, let's discuss something fun. Let's have a little fun here on Texans Today, because if you've been following the NFL Top 100 list, which, producer Casey, I don't know if it's just me, I feel like it's lost a lot of aura. I remember as a kid, in the 2010s watching, the NFL Top 100 list, early 2000s, and it was like, oh, dude, this is big. I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm really excited to see how the list shakes out. Now I just kind of see the updates on Twitter. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, this person's on this number. Cool. But regardless, the Texans heavily featured in the NFL Top 100 list so far. Remember, voted on by the players for the players. Number 25, Daniil Hunter. He is the highest Texan on the list so far. Nico Collins came in at 32. C.J. Stroud at 39. Will Anderson Jr. at 46. Joe Mixon at 58. So that leaves, with where we're at right now, obviously getting into the top 20, where will Derek Stingley Jr. rank? That's the only Texan that I see being in the top 20 on this NFL Top 100 list that's on the roster right now. So I want to know, where do you think he'll rank? Because, with how he played last year, regular season had 5 INTs, 18 pass breakups during the regular season, was easily a top 2 corner in the NFL. I'll continue to say it's him and Pat Surtain, 1A, 1B. However you want to mismatch that, ranking system there. They're easily the top 2 in my opinion. I think he could rank as high as, my guess right now, I'm calling it right now, 12. I'm calling 12 for Derek Stingley. I'm shooting my shot Legolas style. I think 12. I think 12. But the question I want to ask you as well is, do you think he's the best player on the Texans roster right now? Let me know down in the comment section who the best player on the roster is, because that was a hot take for this year, right? Number 12 on the list. My other hot take is, this year I don't think he's the best player on the roster. I think it's Will Anderson Jr. I think Will Anderson Jr. is going to have a breakout year, a possible defensive player of the year if he's able to stay healthy. I think he is easily going to be the best Texan on the roster this year. You look at his work ethic, and it reminds me so much of J.J. Watt. His mentality, his work ethic, how he, his approach to the game. They're saying, all the Texans reporters that are at NRG are saying, this dude's literally doing swim moves around corners every time you see him. He's literally practicing reps next to the, Powerade, Coca-Cola vending machine, whatever. He's going around people doing that. He's literally working on his craft 24/7. One of the first guys out there at practice every single day. Before anybody else is out there, he goes out there against a dummy and is doing pass rush moves. This dude is staying after practice with Texans rookie Ariante Ursery to get him up to speed. So, maybe a hot take by me, but I think Will Anderson Jr. this year will be the Texans' best player. And that's no slight at Derek Stingley. I think he's going to have an insane year again. I just think Will Anderson's that good. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, you can do so at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. I want to beat our Lions channel on and off the field. So if you want to help us do that and get free Texans videos in the process, make sure to hit that subscribe button. One more thing before we go off. Air Jordan, please come back soon. Please come back soon. He's on reassignment right now. Had a couple good hits while he was there with the Corpus Christi Hooks. I wore this today, really hoping that very soon we'll see Air Jordan hitting home runs at Daikin Park. Please, Air Jordan, return. That's all I got for you today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button.